Hello and welcome back to Sunday Tea. I'm your host, Danielle Lee. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing well. New levels, new devils. You know, in your life, when you are making changes, you're making progress. You're doing your best to elevate and grow. Yet, the darkness always tries to find its way back into your life. I'm not religious. I don't believe in religion. But I do believe in a higher power, and I do believe in lower frequency energies. Call it the devil, call it what you will. I have noticed in my life I've attracted some of the worst people. And I've also noticed in my life that every time I move through a different phase, every time I work towards a new goal, every time I find myself in a position that is going to help me grow, something or someone comes along to pull me back, pull me backwards, try to stop me in my tracks. And I know that if you're in a position in your life where you are trying to overcome certain things, habits or addictions, you're trying to build a better future for yourself, you might be looking at a career change or making a move that's going to be life-changing. And whatever it is that you are working on doing to make changes in your life, there's always going to be something or someone that will try and stop you. And the reason I'm speaking about this is because I'm currently going through something in my life that is unexpected, number one. And it's also come at a time in my life when I feel so ready to let go of my old life. I'm so ready to move on into a space that I feel I have grown into. But something or someone doesn't want me to leave. And my nose is itching. It's not the first time I've experienced this. I've had many moments in my life where I have actively put the work in to make changes with regards to my situation, my circumstances, my environment. And every time I get close, every time I get to the edge where if I just go a little bit more, that change is gonna come into effect. But at that specific point, something or someone always comes along to say no, you're not going anywhere. And due to old conditioning, old patterns, old ways of thinking, old beliefs, something in your mind tells you, I can't do it. I have to turn back. Who do I think I am to cross over that threshold? Because that's how I'm seeing it. It's like an uphill struggle. You can see the lights have gone out, but I'm just going to continue recording. It's like an uphill struggle. You're climbing up a mountain and you can see that point that you need to reach. It might be the first checkpoint. It just might be another step up the ladder, but you can see it. And as you get close to that point, as you reach that point, some bitches come along to throw you off track. Now, as I've said, I've experienced this so many times in my life, and I've fallen for that trap each and every time, and that's exactly what it is. It is I'm going to say it's a trap. It could be a test of faith. It could be a test to see how badly you really want what is beyond that threshold. How badly do you want it to take that next step? How much growth have you done to be able to handle what is in that next level? You know, when you're playing a video game, it always starts off easy. We can conquer every level. Then as you progress, you might get to level 5, level 6. It starts to get progressively harder. You spend more time trying to conquer that level. And every stage gets harder and harder. Every stage brings new battles. Every stage brings a new enemy. And then you defeat them and you move on to the next level. And I think life is just kind of, it's not a video game, but every level we rise to, every change that we work on making, there's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be something that we have to fight, or something that we have to overcome, or something that's going to try and stop us and stand in our way to prevent us from moving forward. And when I think back to the times when I've tried so many things, I've worked on creating so many businesses, I've put in some real work and effort to move my life in a direction that I feel I should be going in. But my environment has never allowed me to do that. My environment has always kept me in chains, stuck. And when I think about it, it just makes me feel like maybe that wasn't our time to move on. Maybe we still had lessons that we needed to learn before we could move on. Maybe we still had to overcome certain things within us before we could move on. We can want to create a business. We can want to do things that are going to just put us into new spaces, bring us around new people, put us into new environments. But are we really ready for that? Are we really ready to step into that new role and have the confidence and the self-belief and that inner knowing that this is for me? I deserve to be here. And as much as I've wanted that in the past, as much as I've felt like I'm ready, as much as I felt like this is for me, it didn't work out. And in hindsight, I feel it didn't work out because I really wasn't ready for that change. And I've said before, I've had addictions in my life, and over the years I have fought to fight those addictions. I mean, I'm talking in my younger years. And it's not always easy, right? If you have an addiction, you know it's not easy. You can't just stop smoking overnight. You can't just stop drinking overnight. Like, it's a gradual process. But once you plant that seed in your mind to say, I want to stop this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live my life being a slave to cigarettes or being a slave to alcohol. You've already planted the seed to head in that direction. And as long as you keep that faith and that knowing that one day I will stop, one day I will make it, one day I will get there, it will happen. And as I said, at every level, every turning, there's a new distraction. There's a new arsehole that will come along to throw you off of your path. And that is where your faith is going to be tested. That is where your resolve is going to be tested. That is where your resilience is going to be tested. That is where every single thing you have done in your life, in the past, in the present, is going to come together. And that's when you get the opportunity to prove to yourself that everything you have been doing to elevate yourself, everything that you have been doing to grow, this is now your chance to prove to yourself sorry, there's a door slamming. This is your chance to prove to yourself that everything you've been working on hasn't been for nothing. Because every stage in your life that you choose to put the work in to yourself, to heal, to grow, to become a better person, to build your confidence, your strength, your resilience, your self-esteem, every day that you put effort in to knowing who you are and acting from a place of authenticity and showing up for yourself and being loyal to you and what you deserve, every day that you make those changes and you put in that effort, there's going to come a point in life where life is going to give you a real life test to see how much work you've really done, how much change has really occurred. How you would once react to certain situations, how are you going to handle that now? Someone comes to wave something tempting in your face. Are you going to take it? Are you going to give in? Are you going to succumb to the temptation and fall back into old ways of being, fall back into old patterns, fall back into addictive behaviors and habits? Or have you really grown? Have you really elevated? That is the test. And I'm in a place right now where I'm being tested. I don't want to call it a test because I'm dealing with some wicked, cruel people. And when you have been through trials and tribulations in your life, you build something within you. I don't really know how to describe it. You become fearless. You become fearless because you've faced things that should have technically wiped you out. You've faced things that really, when you think about what you've been through, you shouldn't be here. But you are. You are here, and it didn't wipe you out. So when new challenges come into your way, and when people or situations want to come into your life to pull you down, to break you, to destroy you, everything you've already been through, every challenge you've faced, every fight you have fought and won has built you into who you are today. And you're going to face that fight with courage. You're not going to back away. You're not going to step down. You're not going to even lower yourself to that frequency. You're going to keep rising, and you'll deal with situations in a way that you were not able to deal with them in the past, but because you've gained so much wisdom, because you've had so much experience, because you now have a new depth of knowledge. You're already 50 steps ahead of the enemy that's trying to break you down. They will not win. They will not win because they've underestimated who you are. And it's just a part of life. And I feel that we are often so focused on the future. We're so focused on where we want to get to. We don't stop to actually realize how much we've already achieved, how much we've already grown, how much we have already elevated, how much we're already living in the moment that we're constantly reaching for. How do you measure your success? Are you measuring your success materially? Because that's not a true measure of success. Gaining materials, I mean, it's open to anybody. Your material world is not a true measure of your success. In society's eyes, yes, it is. But the real work happens within. The real success comes from within. The real success comes from the work that you are doing every single day that nobody sees. The work you're not being commended for. The work you're not being rewarded for. The work that is just between you and the higher power. Between you and your spirit guides. Between you and the universe. And when you get to a point in your life where you start to see the growth, you start to see the progress that you have made, it doesn't come overnight. But once you see it, you're going to gain a completely new perspective on everything. Although inherently you know the work you have been doing is working, when you are given a real life test to prove that the work you've been doing is working, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. And I have no idea where I'm going with this conversation. I'm sitting in like 30-degree heat. I am absolutely sweating. And I've still got tea. Yeah. And my nan always told me that hot drinks cool you down on a hot day. So I trust what she said. I've always felt that, you know, keeping myself to myself, minding my own business and living my life where I'm dimming my light to fit into situations, to not stand out, to blend in and not make other people feel uncomfortable will bring me peace in my life. But I feel that no matter how much you mind your own business, no matter how quiet you are, no matter how much you stay away from people, there's always going to be someone out there who's going to try and find their way into your life to disrupt it. So dimming your light and dumbing yourself down to make other people feel comfortable is not the right way. That's just not the way to be. I just don't know if that's the way to be or if it isn't, but I just feel like where my life was before, that was kind of my survival mechanism. So I shouldn't say that's not the way to be, because that's what helped me to cope on a day-to-day basis. Pulling myself away from people, isolating myself, that is what allowed me to truly heal, build my strength, contain my energy, preserve my energy, using all of the resources that I was spewing out, just pulling them back into myself. That's what helped me to learn who I am. That is what has helped me to become who I am today. So through the beginning of my awakening and through the beginning of my healing journey, being alone to me was like breathing air. If I wasn't alone, I could not function. And I craved solitude. Now I'm getting to a point in my life where all the work I've been doing on myself, all of that inner work to work on my confidence, my self-esteem, to start believing in myself, to heal past traumas and do the work I needed to do to stop attracting shit into my life. I feel I've reached a point where I can comfortably say, I'm ready to start stepping out into the world again. I'm ready to start sharing myself. Because now I know where my boundaries, what my boundaries are. Now I know what my values are. Now I know what I want from life. I'm not living to please other people. I'm living for myself. So when you are in a place where you're trying to make changes, you don't want to be stuck where you are anymore. And every time you try and make a change, every time you try and make a move, expect something to come and attempt to throw you off. If you really want that change, if you really want to make that change to move you in a different direction in your life, you will face every challenge that comes your way and you will not back down. You will stand tall, head high, and you will fight it. You will fight them. You will prove to people that you are not a pushover. You will prove to people that you are not a dummy. That you're not easy. That you're not as vulnerable as they perceive you to be. Stand in your truth in knowing exactly who you are and what you will not accept in your life. You shouldn't have to be forced to show people your hand, but if you're forced to show your hand, show it with pride. And this life isn't easy. This journey isn't easy. There are ups and downs throughout every stage in life. No matter what goal you reach, no matter whatever you're trying to attain, once you've reached that goal and once you've attained that, object, that desire, there's always going to be something else. So just focus on the present moment. Stay focused on yourself and your growth. Stay true to who you are. Let people know they cannot walk over you just because they're taking you for somebody that they perceive to be weak or vulnerable, or somebody they feel they can overpower. Let people think what they want. Let people believe what they want. So long as you know who you are and you know where you're heading and you stay focused on your track and you slay those fucking demons along the way, everything will work out fine. Trust in the higher power. Trust in your angels and your guides. I'm so itchy right now. Sorry. Just keep trusting. Keep moving forward. If you fall, get back up. Dust yourself off. Keep going. Don't stop. Distractions are out here to stop you from moving where you are destined to go. Do not allow them to win. I'll see you next Sunday. Take care. Bye.